Okay. Yeah, I just accepted it.
We are live. Sorry. Hello, everyone. We were trying to figure out a few things, so we're going to try to make this live on Ally's page as well. In the meantime, welcome everyone to live, the Intelligent Style Salon live with Ally, CEO and founder Samantha Dong. So happy to have you here, Sam. You look lovely.
Thanks for
Quarantine
having
style
me.
suits you. Um, I'm really happy to have Sam here because fun fact, I should say, not interestingly, maybe both. Either way, last June, we had our first Intelligent Style Salon in DC, and I had just been introduced to Sam and Ally via another designer that we work with for Boutique Box. And it was just, I mean, this is the way it works when you're in startup world and you're like, how do you create traction and how do you get things going? It was like, let's do this. Do you want to collaborate? Do you want to come down? So Sam came down from New York to join us, like probably with like a week's notice, totally made it work, to join us for our Intelligent Style Salon. And like it kind of was this like everything was just beautiful. As far as, I don't think I could have even planned it to go that well.
Mhm.
um it was just, I mean, I certainly wanted to make sure that what we were doing created value for you and for your sales, and for your time and your effort, and that's such a big part of Boutique Box. But it just kind of all flowed so beautifully, where I was like, this is how we do it. This is what these salons are about. This is about bringing women together to just have this open and honest communication. They get to meet our brands, meet our designers, try them on. Like, one of the roadblocks that I come up against, or I should say maybe an objection for Boutique Box, is as far as like, shopping historically for a lot of women is a very disempowering experience.
Mm.
It's frustrating, it's time consuming, it's hard to find the right fit. So you end up going into this like, well, this worked last time, so let's just do this again, sort of mode. And so the opportunity to get to like connect with for us at this moment, women creating these products for women, that there's so much care, there's so much purpose, there's so much passion put into the product. It was like watching you share your story, watching the women try on the shoes afterwards, because like 100% they were all like, okay, sure, comfortable heels. Which is the objection I'm sure you come up against.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's the challenging part of having a product that you're trying to sell over the internet, which is of course, why you have the model that you have and why I founded Boutique Box. But watching them try on the shoes and just have this like, oh my gosh, like they do exist. It's like the
Yeah.
unicorn of shoes, like actually comfortable heels that look good, that really empower your walk. In our newsletter this last week, the tagline, like sharing your brand, was power your walk.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Because that's what it does. I mean, I wore
Mhm.
them for Startup Week DC. And I ended up like walking literally a mile, just because it was like the timing of catching the bus and like how far away I was. It didn't make sense to take the metro. Uber was going to take longer to get like to me and then get me there. And like, this was even before all this stuff. I don't know. Anyways, long story short, I walked like literally a mile in the shoes, and I was like, this is insane. Like, I'm practically walking my same normal pace, and not quite, because like the dynamic of heels is a little
Mhm.
different than flats. But um, most people who know me well know me. I don't walk slowly. And so, anyways, yeah, I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, so it was really cool. And every woman that, okay, well, not every woman, because they're like, let's just be truthful. It is about finding the right fit. And some people they're just going to be challenges, and it's a different brand that's going to work for them. But like, I would say a solid like 95% of the women that have tried on your shoes have just been like, maybe a little initially, this is a little weird. And you can elaborate on maybe why it
Mhm.
feels a little
Yeah.
weird at first. And I'm like, just walk in it, like you just get it. And then they're like, oh my God, you're right. Like, this is amazing. So, and we've had women buy like 2 or 3 pairs after they bought their initial pair. And I think you've probably seen that same thing. So
Yeah.
now that I've gushed and shared how, you know, cool it is, you know, that just that sort of like initial aha of like, there's this beautiful thing that happens when women come together to support other women. So let's continue to create that with our intelligent style salons in our communities.
Mhm.
Let's continue to like help elevate the voices of these brands, you know, whether they're just starting out or even more established. Um, and it's because you were willing to take that leap of faith and say, let's go to DC and let's see what happens.
Yeah,
And
and
yeah, and so with that, like your story is what hooked people in. So I'd love for you to share what got you started and how you made that into a reality, because this is one of the hardest things that you could create and you did it. So
yeah, I know. I definitely picked something that's a little bit harder, from product development to, selling to everything. But it's worth it because it's a real problem and a real pain point for almost all women. And I think someone got to do it. But yeah, before I go into the story, I just want to say, thank you for having us here, and also at, the very first style intelligent salon, and also, the future ones that we had collaborated on. I think it's like you said, as a new brand, it's actually very important to create that space to actually, talk to your customer and share your story, and also just to get their feedback on the things that you're creating. And I think a lot of times bigger brands tend not to do that for a lot of reasons, but that's what differentiates us from, a lot of the bigger brands out there, and that's also why we're able to create something so different. I like to think. So I guess going back to the origin story, so I didn't come from fashion. I started my career in management consulting. And so, hearing your story about, going to the conference and walking everywhere, that was sort of my life for a couple of years where, number one, I only usually pack a carry-on, so I can't pack so many pairs of shoes to begin with, but also just working on client side and doing a lot of kind of going around. I really have to have a pair of heels that are comfortable and also look professional and stylish at the same time. And I was just never able to find one. It's often, almost like an either or. You either choose comfort or you choose style. And I think a lot of times, at least at that time, I was told that's just the way it is. And I thought that's just the way it is. But subsequently, I went on to get my MBA at Stanford, and actually went on a big hiking trip with a few classmates to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And on the way down, actually injured my toes. And so even after recovering, I started to realize I just couldn't wear heels anymore. I needed arch support in all the shoes I wear, and with heels, they're just not an easy way to add that support, and without making the shoe clunky. And even if you do, it just does not work. It's a very challenging footwear type to make comfortable without sacrificing the look. But at the time, that's also when I just started asking myself, perhaps is that it? I'm just never going to be able to wear heels anymore, or is there perhaps a better way? So I started looking into it more seriously, learned shoemaking from scratch just to get an understanding of how everything works, and started talking to all the women around me. We did a lot of small focus groups, sort of similar to, the salons that you hosted, even before we had a product, just to kind of hear people's feedback and what they actually wanted in, the perfect pump, if you will. And every round when we kind of had prototypes, that's also how we get feedback from real women. And so when I graduated I actually moved back to New York. And at the time, I realized it's a very difficult problem. So I really needed experts from not just footwear, but also different types of disciplinary to solve this problem because it's a very complicated issue. So our founding team actually consists of people from very different knowledge base. Our chief scientist is Dr. Roxanne Clark. She's a pediatric surgeon who understands the ergonomics and everything about foot. She also treats a lot of professional women on Wall Street, so she understands, the pain point from her patients who came to see her probably too late. And so for her, the motivation has always been she wanted to create something that kind of prevent the issues later on in the first place. Our forward designer, Sarah Jalamillo, she has experience both in dress shoe making from brands such as Aquazura, but she also has sneaker making experience from Adidas. And our product advisor, Jeff Henderson, ran the innovation for Kohan and Nike. So we're able to kind of bringing together, this beautiful combination of industry experience in shoemaking, but also from a doctor's perspective, and also all the feedback from our community. And that's how we kind of got started and kept iterating along the way.
Well, for anyone, I would imagine most women know the Cole Haan Nike collaboration, and because I have had clients over the years where they like will not give up on their Cole Haan Nikes because they stopped doing it. So I love that that's who one of the team that created the Ally
Yeah.
shoe. Um, that's actually a feat in and of itself, beyond creating the shoe and all the focus groups and whatnot, but actually bringing that team together. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really unique team. How did you do that?
It's not, it's a lot of persistence and luck, I would say. So again, I didn't come from industry, so I didn't, all people I know are all lawyers, consultants, bankers. So I just started looking up people on LinkedIn. And, the thought process was, uh, I want a few things. I want people who have experience from brands that are really respected, who has kind of tried to tackle this issue. And Nike and Kohan, like you said, that was the most comfortable pair of heels I had, prior to Ally. And so I really wanted someone with that experience. I had a hunch that I wanted people with kind of an engineering background, just because I thought, it's a very sort of the way a lot of my best friends are engineers, and I just really respect that training of thinking from kind of first principle and the fundamentals, and you can kind of break a problem down to different pieces and then kind of solve it from there. So I thought, if someone has that would also be great, and not just from a design background. And Jeff was sort of the dream come true. He's like number one on my list. He was mechanical engineering at Georgia Tech, and he also, was a trained engineer, but spent 20 years in Nike, and kind of was brought on to the Kohan project as a innovation director. So he checked every box I had. And so I reached out to him among a long list of other people I reached out to. And I didn't think he would actually say yes, because I knew he has his own kind of design agency, and he the type of projects he works on, I can't afford him. But for some reason we really bonded, and I just kind of pitched my vision to him, and he agreed to help me. And that was a lot of luck. But, at the same time, I had cold messaged a lot of different people. Um, and I also told him that, when I first started looking into it, I actually got a lot of help from a few doctors at the Stanford Medical Center. So I really wanted to continue having someone who has a medical perspective. But it's also interesting that a lot of the, podiatrists that I talk to are men, and I was hoping we could find a woman doctor. And so actually, one day Jeff came by, very excited. He's like, I need you to meet someone. And that's when he introduced me to Roxanne, who's, became our chief scientist, and who's very passionate about this project. And he also introduced me to Sarah. They worked together on the Easy Adidas project together. So we actually, I talked about this story at another publication called Corner of the Court, talking about how Jeff kind of became our coach and he really brought the team together, but he understood that I really wanted a female-led team and bringing that kind of empathy in building the product. And he is willing and, completely fine with being on the sideline and see us succeed. And that was just, a very magical thing that sort of happened. And that was origin story of our team.
I love that. I don't know if that was the post that I saw, but I saw something sharing his story, and it kind of speaks to the name of the brand, Ally.
Yeah.
And really, like, something that I feel very strongly about is like equality is equal. Like, it's not men are better than women or women are better than men, and like this, the conversation gets skewed because like women are not treated equally right now. Like, you can pretend that they are, but like there's just too much evidence that shows that there's just bias. It's not necessarily even intentional.
Mhm.
And that's where I think it becomes such a gray area, because it's like, no, but whatever. So we don't need to go down that road. But um, like, he really truly is an ally for you. Like, he's a champion for
Mhm.
you. And, he had already worked on solving this problem. And probably, I would hazard to guess, maybe it's a bit of luck because, you reached him, you found him, you did all of the research to figure out who he is and how to reach him. Um, but I would hazard to guess that like maybe he didn't quite get to solve the problem the way that he had wanted to
Mhm.
before, and
Yeah.
now you're presenting him this opportunity. Because especially if he comes from an engineering background, I have a lot of engineers and research doctors in my family, and like I think that's what influences my like, no, problems can be solved.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think, one of the things that he actually said to me is, he liked that I didn't come from industry because there's a little bit of naivete to, my approach. And I'm willing to try a lot of different things that, I don't have the burden of experience, if you will. But that's also why I need people who have deep experience to tell me when I want to do something and it's just not the right thing to do. But at the same time, I don't have any box to confine me. And I think that's also why, we're able to create a structure that, like you said, when people first step into our heels, they feel a little bit weird because it's a very different sensation. And that's why it works. But, it's like the first time you step into Birkenstock, you're like, oh, this is a very odd feeling, but then once you get used to it, it totally works. And that's kind of, it describes our product as well.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly. I mean, it's the same sort of design detail. Now that you mention it, I didn't connect those dots, but as far as keeping your foot stable is such a big part of
Mhm.
it. Um, and yeah, I think that's so. I love that. I love that you're not that he saw that and you recognize that as far as the burden of experience. Um, One thing I think is actually interesting about that, because the way you phrased it with, there's something that you want to do, and their experience like says maybe not do that. Like, is there an
Mhm.
example of a time when their experience said maybe not do that, but your gut was like, I feel like this is what we should do? Where so you listen to yourself versus, and this isn't about, poo-pooing their advice or experience. It's more about
Mhm.
like having such a strong sense of this is what I feel like we should do. I know it doesn't quite make sense, but like, let's try it.
Mm. I'm trying to think. Because when you were saying, I actually thought about like things that I did anyway, and it turned out not to be right. And it was just like a very funny story. So I'm trying to think if there are. I will say that, honestly, we actually work together in a very good way where I would bring ideas, or a lot of times even you know Jeff or Roxanne or Sarah, they would bring in what they call crazy design ideas that they would say, I know this is crazy, but since you're willing to try, can we maybe try this? And so one of the examples is we actually use, let me see, yeah, I have this sample here. So this is our classic black leather heels, and if you look at it, this is a lambskin leather, and it doesn't look different from some of the other leather out there, but it's actually a special stretchy lambskin leather material that's typically used in, say, like boots. So they're more flexible, and it's so that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out how to make the product or the upper of the shoe very soft and flexible without it losing the shape. And so Jeff said, maybe we can look into this, but no one has done this. No one has actually used this material in the pump. So it's crazy, but are you willing to try it? And I said, yeah, of course, let's try it. So we actually made it work. And I can't reveal too many details on how we made it work, but essentially we figured out a way to utilize the flexibility of this material. So the benefit is you don't have to necessarily break into our shoes. It's very soft, very flexible, very gentle on the feet, but it doesn't lose the shape. It's still a very kind of structured look that makes a classic pump work really well. So that's just an example where, you know, um, he kind of brought it up to me thinking that I would say no. But I was like, why not? Let's just try it.
Yeah.
And another example, it's more of a, I guess, a failed example from my part is I really, for some reason, well, actually, because our logo ally is a triangle, or the A is a triangle, at first I really wanted to make a triangle shoebox. I thought it looks very cool, but everyone, Sarah, Jeff, Roxanne said, no, don't do that. It's no one does that in the shoe industry. There are a lot of issues related to that, and I did that anyway at first. And when I got the sample, it was just this giant box, and shipping is a nightmare. So I was like, well, I guess you guys are right. I should have really listened to you. So that's an example where it didn't quite work out, and I'm glad they warned me, and we only did a sample before we kind of go full speed on our triangle boxes.
Well, I mean, that's the way you do it is you do the sample, you see if it can be done. If it can't, you learn, you move on, you take whatever you learn maybe into the next space. So two things, there's a comment and then a question.
Mhm.
So first of all, I don't know if I would give up on that triangle box idea or like what that's going to turn into, because I actually read something recently about this guy who was like, why don't I create like just for fun, create a baker's dozen egg box or container, egg carton. And I think he posted it on his website. It was not meant, like, he didn't think it had any sort of validity for someone to buy it. And come however much longer, a farmer is actually, for I don't remember the reasons or details why that would take us down a really bad storytelling route.
Mhm.
But a farmer ended up wanting to sell a baker's dozen.
Mm.
And part of that being, product placement, and how do you make your product stand out in a crowded marketplace? Because even though your product is totally different, once you try it, at first glance, it looks like another heel, and
Mhm.
someone already has a black pump or a nude pump, or, even like you have the fun leopard and sparkles and whatnot. So it's hard to say like, well, why should I try that one?
Mhm.
So I actually think it's, again, and then that's part of the brand experience too. So I'm
Yeah.
just like putting that there as far as like, maybe it's not dead, because maybe it'll be something down the line. Um, but that leads me to the question that I sort of alluded to, as far as like, any of those failed ideas actually lead to like sort of moving something else forward, or, another iteration that was successful. And if there's
Mm.
not, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just think that, and sometimes it's connecting the dots backwards too, that you
Yeah.
can see how
Mhm.
it made it forward, and you're still a fairly young brand. But um, just putting that out there for you, if there
Yeah.
isn't, and for
Yeah.
others too.
I will say, at the beginning, we were actually very adamant about this idea of, we have to get 100% custom fit, because early on in the research, when you talk to someone in shoemaking, they would tell you if you want really comfortable heels, you got to go custom bespoke, like $1,000 shoes. So, I actually went into the rabbit hole of, looking into different technologies to measure your feet. I had talked to a bunch of Stanford PhD students in computer vision, AR, to kind of figure out, can we take a picture of your feet and then measure that and get you your perfect fit, and we'll solve all the problem. But I tried that and it didn't work. And that's actually a really good experience at the beginning, because it made me realize that we really needed that product innovation in addition to getting the fit right.
Yeah.
um, that made a huge impact on where the product design is today. And it also kind of evolved our approach to figuring out fit. So instead of doing 100% custom fit, which is a very cumbersome experience on the customer side, but it's also a very inefficient experience for the factory and the shoemaker. And on top of that, it's going to be very expensive. And so we actually evolved that into our, now we call it the granular fit, which means we have quarter sizes, half sizes, and we also have 3 to 4 different width options, which, from the feedback of our community, that's very important. And that probably solves 95% of the fit issues. And if on top of that you still can't find your fit, then we can bring in our factory's capability, where they could do custom, so we can do 2 different sizes per foot, or we can do a little bit of adjustment on kind of a case by case basis. But um, because I have failed at the beginning by going 100% custom, now we get to a much better smooth experience for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you found that 95% rate as well, as far as
Mhm.
like finding that fit. And I would say that the width, um, the widths that you've done make such a huge difference. I mean, I
Mhm.
can't tell you how many clients I've had a hard time finding shoes for over the years. Um, and really mostly because of that width. Like, and even myself, like my foot, which also, by the way, I broke a toe. So that's probably part of the reason why it's still a little weird, because toes don't really heal properly.
Mhm.
Maybe that's TMI, guys, but let's be honest, we all have our little things that we need to like find the right fit for. And that's, I
Mhm.
think, why it's so hard finding the right pieces these days, because our closets are bigger, we feel like our needs are bigger. Things are not, you're not buying a few quality pieces that you just rewear or repurpose. which I do think we're going to start shifting back to that, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But so people have this like sense, it's just a weird thing that it's created for these expectations of things should like how do you find the right fit? It should fit, it shouldn't fit, you have to tailor everything. um and I have like, my feet are like square or rectangle, like my toes are all the same length for the most part. It's super weird. But and so the width piece, because it's like I'm a 7.5, but like it was the width that actually helped me get the right fit. So I'm
Mhm.
like, actually now I'm probably like an 8 because your feet do change. But any case, the point being, the width made such a huge difference. And
Yeah.
so in getting that right fit, because I could go down a size and up a width, and it was like, oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's about finding that middle ground, right? It's, I think we've been so used to like fast fashion where it's all and also mass production where
yeah,
it creates a lot of waste and overproduction. But to make it efficient on the supply side, then we have to force ourselves to fit into those sizes. And
right,
then on the other side, if you do 100% custom, there are a lot of challenges there. So we're trying to find the middle ground to make it kind of the best case for everyone.
right. And you're pretty much, you're not entirely, but you're highly on demand with your production, correct?
Yes. So what we do is we try to do a hybrid inventory strategy. So typically we do see that, for the most part, people's first pair are classic black leather, black suede, or our nude collection, because that's kind of your evergreen, very versatile styles. And we try to keep a light inventory there. But we also have those very fun colors like the silver sparkly or the rose gold, where it's more of a second purchase and it's not as popular and evergreen. So we do all of those on demand. And when you order from us, if you want your first pair to be the evergreen one, then it would be a very similar experience as you would with other brands. But if you want to order a color or a size that we don't have in stock, we would typically have you try on, one of the other colors that we do have in stock to confirm your fit. And the beauty of that is we all the different colors are the same fit. So as long as we have your size on file, we can actually produce things on demand with a 2-week turnaround, which, for this type of product, it's really something that's very seasonless and you can wear all year round. And it's a very good quality handcrafted product. We have noticed that our customers are willing to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but then they're going to love it. I mean, when I say quality over quantity, it's as far as like, it's one of my essentials of intelligent style. Um, I mean, there's so many reasons it's going to last longer. Like you
Mhm.
actually feel good and you love it when you wear it, which really empowers like how you feel as you approach the day. I mean, maybe not as much right now, but maybe we should take dance parties in our heels so we can sort of activate that energy these days.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We actually just posted a tango dance video on our Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, I'll look that
One
up.
of my college roommates is a professional tango dancer and instructor.
Wow.
So we wanted to, because, right now I think we all need a little bit of lightness in our life. And dancing is one of the few things that you can do at home, but you need to wear shoes for that.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to share. We had a piece where she was teaching some tango moves, and it's beautiful. So you guys should check it out.
That's so fun, especially with your new style. Now that you launched your follow on of, well, you can share a little bit. So you started with the classic pump, figured out like how this was going to work. And, now you want to offer more variety for people. And Yeah.
Yeah, so this was actually also an inspiration from customers. So we used to do a lot of trunk shows and events, and one of the reasons is for people to try on our product, but also it's a great way for us to get direct feedback from people. And one feedback we got from time to time is, if you have very thin heel in the back, um, it's when you wear a pump, it's still sometimes it's psychological, but sometimes it's also if you're walking really fast or running or dancing, you still want that security. And so our approach is we just launched a strap collection, and we have two different styles. One is a ankle strap, and that's detachable, so you can wear them. If you take out the strap, it's just a simple pump. If you put it on, it's an ankle strap. So it's sort of a two-in-one. And then the other one is more classic Mary Jane. But either of these two, it will give you more security with that strap. So it's great if you want to dance in heels, because it just really kind of secures the foot even more.
Yeah, I love that. Makes me think of the Sex and the City episode with the Manolo Blahnik Mary Janes, except for these are going to be wildly more comfortable.
Yeah.
Actually comfortable. Um, Sam, I think we could just continue talking and sharing your story forever. We were already at 40 minutes. And so, just for the sake of, I want people to watch the whole story. Um, I will share that I'll post a code down below for the next couple of weeks to be live, so that people can, if they want to try out, you can try through Boutique Box or you can try directly with Ally. We are going to be going outside again. We are going to be getting dressed for work. What that's going to look like as far as how many days of the week are we going to be dressing, how many events are we going to, we don't necessarily know, but that is all the more reason to go for quality over quantity. And I shared recently on our social media around, like, let's think about, like, now is really a great time to focus on, like, creating a capsule wardrobe and playing with your, like, foundation of your wardrobe and then building it out from there. Because as I was thinking earlier today, I was like, intelligent style is really that, like, je ne sais quoi style. It's really self-awareness. It's self-assuredness. It's not necessarily about being cocky. It's just about being you.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it starts with those pieces that feel really good and feel really you. And again, you have so many different colors. You have red, you have navy. Ooh, I mean,
Yeah.
I know, again, this is why, like, obviously y'all love Sam now too, with her story and, like, just her thoughtfulness in creating this brand for you and these products for you to really, as I said, you can totally steal this. I will require some shout out right down the line to power your walk. Um,
Love that tagline. That's such a good one.
but but it's because I really care. Like, I really, like, appreciate what you're doing. And I think it's so important that women who have this vision to create something that really empowers and supports and takes care of how women want to show up, each woman individually as herself, I think it's really important to, like, help get those brands out. And that's, like, my mission with Boutique Box. That's why we care as much about our brands as we do about the customers that we're supporting, because I really think it creates this holistic cycle. So, like, I'm so grateful for you for taking that leap to, like, have the lucky breaks to connect with, your founding team, and, like, the things that failed but helped you move forward. Like, I'm really excited for what you bring to women around the world, with your shoes, because you just have such a
Yeah.
heart for it. Um, I saw you shared your 3 style, like, sort of profile words, and one of them being empathetic, and that's something that you're really bringing to the brand. And I think that shows. So, especially once they
Yeah.
experience allies. So, is there anything that you would want to add for women in any context, as we sign off?
No, I really appreciate giving us the platform to share our story, as always. And I think that's really what brands like ours need. So thank you for creating that. And yeah, if anyone's interested in learning more about Ally, you can go on our website, which is ally.nyc, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Ally Shoes. We try to create fun and relevant content. So, just follow us and yeah, follow our journey.
Yeah. And if anyone watches this and is like, oh my gosh, I want to get some more of this, as far as just continuing this conversation, send us a note on the boutique, on any of our social media channels, whether on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And I'm sure Sam would be willing to join, and we can create the Intelligent Style Salon sort of connection in a community. And we can have a little more conversation around that. I'm happy to create that. For anybody who's interested, for any of our designers, with a bunch of our designers. But in this day and age, we have to be a little efficient with our time. So I'll create that if you tell me you want it. let's put it that way. Thank you again for joining us, Sam. Thank you for everyone who's out there watching and supporting female founders and women-owned businesses, and really small businesses holistically, especially right now, in any small way that you can, buy now. I mean, Ally's going to be here. I'm one of the things that I'm doing with Confidence Catalyst workshop that's on our website and with our community of women is like, okay, so maybe you're not shopping now, but like now is a really good time to think about how you want to show up. Who is the woman that you want to be? How do you want to present yourself? What are you creating for yourself? And then what does that look like? So maybe you're not shopping now, but start creating that, like what I like to call a wardrobe action plan of what's your list of things that you want to buy. Maybe it's just one thing at a time. Certainly Boutique Box can help you curate those pieces. So it's easy, but whether or not, either way, just like having that sense of, okay, I want my perfect pumps and I'm going to go to Ally. I want my great white blouse and I know this designer has something that'll work for me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And creating, like I said, that capsule wardrobe that you can really mix and match, and start focusing on like what feels best for you, not necessarily what you think other people would want or would. It doesn't matter. All that matters is you. So anyways, thank you again, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We're all getting through this, and I think it's going to be a brighter day on the other side. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you. Oh, cool.
Perfect. Sorry. I'm like, I need to reel myself in sometimes. That was so great. There was some nuggets that came out of that. Oh, we're still recording. I'm going to have to